This glorious little shed is my 1996 Civic EJ9, and in the last few videos on the car I've welded some rusty floors, I flocked the dashboard, and I even fitted an S2000 steering wheel. But in today's video, it's finally time to sort the rest of the interior, because I'm sick to death of sitting on the floor every single time I need to move the car. So, as you can probably tell, it looks like someone's ripped the dashboard back out. And there's a bit of a funny story behind that, and it involves one of these pesky little things. In the last episode, you guys know that I fitted a flocked dashboard, I fitted a new steering wheel, and everything looked awesome. Off screen, I then went to start the car to move it around, and it didn't start. It cranked just fine, but it didn't get fuel pressure, which led me down some massive rabbit hole trying to figure out why that was. I checked fuses, I checked relays, I pulled things back out to check all the connections, I checked there wasn't a grounding wire that I'd missed behind the dashboard. I even used my multimeter so much that I had to replace the batteries. I've never used a multimeter so much in my life. It got so bad that I was actually considering ringing up an auto electrician to try and help me diagnose what I'd actually done, because I was convinced that somewhere in that rat's nest there was a cable that I'd damaged or I'd missed, or something had happened during the dash install. And then one night I found a forum post suggesting that it was the inertia switch. And here is where I feel like a complete idiot. So, this little thing is an inertia switch, and as I understand it, the purpose is if you're in a collision, this thing will trip and it will cut fuel supply, presumably to stop your car from going up in flames. So, quite a useful thing. When I was putting this dashboard in, I saw this sat behind the glove box and I thought, ooh, looks squishy, I'm going to poke it. So I did, and it made that clicking noise, and I'd assumed that I'd tripped it and didn't know how to reset it. I didn't think you could. So what I did is I swapped this unit out for one that I had on a donor dashboard, put it in, and went to start the key. Upon reading that forum post, I went back and checked it and realised that the inertia switch that I'd swapped over had also been tripped. And you can actually reset them really easily. So there you go. That's reset. That's tripped, and that's reset. So all I needed to do was just reset it, and I turned the key and it fired up right away. So about 8 hours of checking every single wire, pulling the dash out, ruining my flock a little bit, and it turned out to be this dopey little thing. Thanks. So, now that you guys are aware of how much of a fool I've been, it's time to crack on. We're going to sort this dashboard out, and then we're going to give the entire car a good tidy out, because it's full loads of stuff from the welding work. It needs a hoover, and then it needs a good wipe down. So, let's crack on. Well, it might not look it on camera, but that is so much better than what it was before. There's no more breathing in billions of metal particles and no more getting shrapnel stuck in my kneecaps every single time I kneel down in the interior. Now, most of the reason for the mess was obviously the cutting out the metal, using the grinder and doing the welding work, but another reason why it was so dusty and messy in here was because I removed the factory sound deadening. Now, in a time attack car, that's great. It actually saves a little bit of weight. In a street car, you don't really gain anything from removing it. All you're really going to do is make your driving experience absolutely miserable, because you'll hear every single pebble or stone that gets pinged to the underside of your car. Now, I can't replace it with the OEM stuff because that's all in the bin, but instead I'm going to replace it with some of this. This is a product called Dead Easy by Dodomat. Now, there's loads of similar products out there on the internet, but Dodomat is a British company and they always seem to get some really good reviews, so it was kind of a no-brainer. It's the sort of thing you'll find in camper van builds, and it was only £26 for the full box, which I thought was quite reasonable. I'm hoping I'll just be able to put it down on the floor, pretty much where all the OEM stuff was, and then the interior will be a little bit quieter and possibly even slightly cozy. I've never done this before. I assume it's quite a straightforward process. There's an adhesive backing on these, so peel it off, stick it on, and Bob's your uncle. Let's give it a go. And there we go. It's not perfect, but it's considerably better than putting no sound deadening back in. This is, after all, just a big tin can, so every little helps. You're meant to use a foam roller to squish all this into the cracks and crevices, but me being me, I don't have a clean one, so as you probably saw from the footage, I used a tennis ball, and it seemed to work pretty good. I wouldn't paint my house with it instead of a foam roller, but for this application, it actually fit in all the little nooks and crannies quite well, so there you go, a little hack for you. These things are quite easy to work with, but it's really hot at the moment, so they've basically just been melting in my hands. That said, they do look nice and easy to peel up, so the next time I have to weld my floor, in hopefully a good amount of years, it doesn't look too difficult to remove. But that layer's down and I'm quite pleased with it, which means we can move on to the carpet. And I've done something a little bit different with the carpeting since the last time you saw it, but in order for me to show you that, we've got to go back in time. Check it out. Cowabunga, dudes, this is the... Alright, this is the carpet from the Civic, and remember when I took it out, it was covered in stains and it looked really grotty. I've since given it a once over with the wet vac, and I got the brushes in there, scrubbed it up really good, and it actually came out quite well. But there are still a few little stains here and there, and I've decided that whilst a grey carpet is cool, a black carpet is probably even cooler. So, we're going to go ahead and dye it black. Like most things, I've not done this before, so I picked up 5 litres of black carpet dye from eBay. I've also got myself a little sprayer bottle. I'm going to lay some dust sheets down because I don't really want to turn the grass black. I prefer it green. And yeah, and just give it a go. See if it turns black. I'm hoping it's quite a straightforward process, and it's a nice sunny day today, so I'm hoping it dries quick as well. But let's crack on. So that's how it's looking after one coat. I do maybe slightly regret cutting the grass just before doing this because, yeah, there's a lot of grass and bugs on it now, but it should be fine. They shouldn't stick to it. I should just be able to brush them out. The next step, apparently you need to brush it in. So I'm going to grab a little brush or a cloth and then just sort of scrub it in certain areas and then probably do another pass over with the dye and then repeat that. And then I think it should be good, but I quite like how it's looking so far. And I'm not using that much dye either, which is quite good. I don't want to use the full 5 litres if I can avoid it, so yeah, let's keep going. And here we are, my new black carpet. Like most things I do here, it's not perfect. There's a few areas where they could probably do with a little bit more black dye. It looks slightly scarce in some areas, but overall, I'm quite pleased with it. The old grey one, as much as I cleaned it up, did still look a little bit on the rank side of things, and black looks really good. There's going to be floor mats here, my seats are going to go there. There's obviously the plastic trim to go in, so from the little bit of carpet you can see, I think it will make the world of difference, especially with the new dashboard. One problem I'm noticing is I use white vinegar to clean off the original carpet, sorry. I use white vinegar because it's a good alternative to loads of chemical things. They tend to irritate my hands and such. The one downside with white vinegar is it stinks. And I'm noticing now there's a slight whiff of vinegar in the car. I'm really hoping that goes away because the last thing I want on a hot day is to open my door and then just be greeted by the smell of a chippy. So hopefully that goes away. Next, I was going to put the seats in, but now looking at it logically, I think I should put this centre trim pieces in, and I might put the little sort of sill kick plate covers in as well. So let's go and clean those up because they've been sat in the garage for months. They're probably mouldy and covered in gunk. So we'll clean them up, we'll fit them in, and yeah, hopefully we're getting closer to having an interior again. It's quite exciting. I didn't think I'd get this excited about an interior, but here we are. Cool, so most of the plastic trim is back in the interior, and the main thing that's missing are these seats. Now, these look fantastic now, but I can assure you they didn't look anywhere near that good in the first place. But to see how I transformed them and made them look brand new, especially for a 30-year-old chair, we're going to have to go back in time. Enjoy. This is a very dirty Civic seat, and this is a wet vac. Now, a wet vac is capable of vacuuming liquids, as the name implies, and it's really useful for doing things like seats or carpets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray some solution on here. There is already some solution in here. I'm going to agitate it with a drill and a brush, and then vacuum it up with this, and hopefully they will be nice and clean again. Right, I've finished one chair and it looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, compared to this one looks, well, quite dull. There's loads of brown staining to it and it's just absolutely awful. Whereas this one, look at all this vibrancy. There's so much colour in here that I didn't realise existed. It was all just covered by 30-year-old of, well, sweat. Now, there was some mud in the system, but judging by the sweaty smell that's got, I'd say that's a lot of liquid from those seats. Now, the seats look absolutely fantastic. There's no doubt in my mind that the wet vac and, you know, agitating it actually works. This is disgusting. This is in your seats, people. Ew. Time to sell this back to Yorkshire Water. Alright, the last thing on the agenda is to go ahead and fit the seats, and my god, they look so much better than what they did in the first place. I can't believe that much dirt actually came out of them. These things do look brand new and the interior is looking awesome, but that's where we're going to leave it for today's video. There are of course a few things that still need doing, so there's no door cards for example because I'm taking off the trims on the doors. We do need some floor mats, but I've got something planned for that. Same as the rear, I'm going to do a false floor and some sort of creative setup in the back, but I don't want to give too much away. That is for a future video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more updates on the Civic. Take care.